A tourist ripped a medal off a royal guard, believing he could do anything. But one step forward changed everything. The crowd applauded not him but honor and dignity. On a grey London street, near the majestic Buckingham Palace, a royal guard stood motionless. A tall, fair-skinned man in his mid-30s with strong, chiseled features wore a scarlet uniform pressed to perfection. Golden buttons gleamed in the sunlight, while a massive bearskin hat added an air of majesty to his presence. His back was straight, his gaze fixed on the horizon. He paid no attention to the endless stream of tourists swarming around him like ants. The crowd was noisy. Some posed for photos, others chatted loudly. Amid this chaos, one man stood out, a hefty man in his 40s. His bright orange t-shirt reading "London Tour" was garishly out of place. Cargo shorts, bulky white sneakers, and a cap completed the look of someone who clearly thought the city revolved around him. He spoke loudly, gestured wildly, and seemed to revel in being the center of attention. "Hey, you there, soldier! Smile!" he shouted, waving his phone like it was a microphone. The guard remained motionless. "He's definitely a wax figure!" the man boomed, turning to the crowd as if encouraging them to join in. He stepped closer to the guard, leaning in so far that his face was only inches away. "Want to see him move?" he added loudly, glancing at the crowd with a smirk. Some tourists laughed. Others pulled out their phones, anticipating what might happen next. The man, sensing his moment in the spotlight, leaned even closer to the guard, inspecting his uniform with mock fascination. "What if I check if he's real?" he said loudly, his voice dripping with provocation. Without warning, his hand shot forward. Before anyone could react, he grabbed one of the medals pinned to the guard's chest and ripped it off. A sharp gasp rippled through the crowd, quickly giving way to stunned silence. The man raised the medal high above his head, waving it triumphantly like a trophy. "Look what I got!" he declared with a triumphant grin, turning to face the crowd. Some tourists stepped back, whispering to each other in shock. Others, captivated by the moment, raised their cameras to capture what felt like a surreal spectacle. The guard took a single deliberate step forward. The movement was swift, precise, and filled with such confidence that the crowd fell silent. The man in the bright orange shirt tensed up. His smug grin faltered, but he tried to maintain an air of bravado. "Wow, he moves!" the tourist stammered, forcing a nervous laugh. His voice, intended to sound playful, carried an unmistakable hint of unease. The gathered tourists stirred. Phones were quickly raised, recording every moment. Some watched with curiosity, while others looked on with disapproval. Low murmurs rippled through the crowd. "What's he doing? This is too much." "Poor guard! What a jerk!" someone muttered indignantly. The guard remained composed, his sharp gaze locked on the man. His expression betrayed no anger or irritation, but his piercing stare seemed to cut through the tourist. When he finally spoke, his voice was calm yet commanding, carrying a note of undeniable authority. "Return the medal." The man let out a loud laugh, but it sounded forced. He smirked at the surrounding crowd, hoping for support. "Hey, relax, buddy. It's just a piece of metal. Are you serious?" His eyes darted nervously as he sought allies among the onlookers. "Aren't you guys supposed to, not move or something?" The crowd's murmurs grew louder. Voices rose in protest. "Give him back the medal! This is too far! You're embarrassing all of us!" The tourist tried to force another grin, but his strained face betrayed him. The crowd's lack of support shook his confidence. Realizing the situation was slipping out of his control, he tossed the medal onto the ground with exaggerated indifference, letting it land at the guard's feet. "Here, take it. You're just standing there anyway," he muttered mockingly, but his voice had lost its edge. The guard, ignoring the man's taunts, bent down smoothly and picked up the medal. With careful precision, he reattached it to his uniform. His movements were so composed and deliberate that the crowd fell silent again, captivated by his calm demeanor. Straightening to his full height, the guard locked eyes with the tourist. His steady gaze was calm but penetrating, rooting the man to the spot. When he spoke, his voice was low and firm, leaving no room for argument. "You've crossed boundaries and disrespected tradition. Leave." The crowd erupted into noise. Some clapped, while others shouted, "Serves you right!" "Well said!" The tourist froze. For several seconds, he stood still, unsure of what to do. The weight of the crowd's disapproving stares bore down on him, and his face flushed a deep red. A palace security officer approached swiftly. He was a middle-aged man with fair skin, dressed impeccably in a black suit, his demeanor exuding authority and composure. His sharp eyes fixed on the tourist as he spoke, in a voice as cold and precise as a blade. "You must leave the premises. Your actions are unacceptable." The tourist, who moments ago had waved the medal like a trophy, suddenly tried to defend himself. His face turned crimson as he gestured wildly, speaking louder than necessary. "What? I was just joking! It's not a crime. I paid for a tour. I have rights." The crowd buzzed with murmurs, and some openly chuckled. The security officer, unbothered by the man's excuses, took a step closer. His voice remained steady and firm, carrying the weight of finality. "Your rights end where disrespect begins." The crowd responded with loud approval. Applause broke out, and someone shouted, "That's how you do it! Shame on people like him!" The tourist, realizing he had no support, looked around desperately, searching for someone to back him up. Instead, every face in the crowd reflected disapproval, irritation, or disappointment. One young man in a gray hoodie raised his phone and, with a smirk, said, "I already posted this online. Let's see how you like being a YouTube star." The tourist's face turned even redder. He muttered something under his breath, as if cursing the world, but he didn't dare argue further. The security officer gestured for him to leave and waited as the man shuffled through the crowd. His steps were hurried, his shoulders slumped, and the arrogance he'd displayed earlier was replaced by an expression of utter defeat. Meanwhile, the guard, silent throughout the confrontation, adjusted his uniform. His movements were precise and smooth, as if every gesture had been rehearsed countless times. The crowd, watching him with newfound respect, stood still, their attention riveted. The guard returned to his post, standing tall, his expression resuming its usual stoic calm. A young man with a child approached. The boy, holding his father's hand, looked up at the guard with wide-eyed admiration. The father spoke softly. "Thank you for your service. You are a true example for all of us." The guard gave a slight nod, remaining silent, as was fitting for someone who embodied honor and steadfastness. The crowd broke into applause, turning the moment into a display of genuine respect. Later, footage of the incident went viral. The tourist faced harsh criticism on social media, labeled as a symbol of arrogance and disrespect. In the comments, people condemned his behavior while praising the guard for his unwavering composure and dignity. The guard became an emblem of resilience and honor. His image inspired many, and the story served as a powerful reminder that traditions and respect hold a significance that cannot be ignored.